it's time for another Q&A video from you guys. I had a ton of questions and I'm not going to be able to get to them all today, but I will try my best to do that in the future. As always, leave your questions down below and I hope that my answers help. First question is, so you're going to move when you're debt-free and you don't know where yet. But when you start looking for a new job before or after debt payoff, will you film the process of your new job hunt? No. And it's because that's not appropriate. At least I don't feel like it's appropriate. For instance, you only tell your current employer that you're leaving 2 weeks ahead of time. So I'm certainly not going to let the world at large know that I am job hunting and job seeking and I'm going to move somewhere before I tell the person that cuts me my paycheck. I think that's rude and unprofessional and it's just not going to happen for me. So you guys will find out if I get a new job or if I'm going to move after my employer does, because I think that's respectful, I think that's professional, and I think that that is appropriate. So, all right, next question. I've been price matching at Walmart, but it seems to annoy the employees. They all keep telling me that Walmart is going to stop price matching soon. Sometimes when they try to put the price match in, the register calls a manager to approve. Ugh. Yeah, I've had this too, but it seems like in this situation, they still have to price match. I don't particularly care if I annoy Walmart employees into price matching. I consider it to be part of their jobs. For instance, I don't particularly like going to cover sports, but it's part of my job. So if your Walmart's current policy is to price match, they have to price match as long as you're following the rules. And with the calling a manager to turn the key, I've had that too. It takes a second. Often I'll just, be really nice and say thank you so much. If there's a long line behind me, I'll say, I'm so sorry guys, it's just going to take a second. I'm trying to save all the money. And I've literally never had somebody be like, ugh. They'll be like, we understand. Every single time we understand, because everyone's in this situation. Everyone is trying to save a buck. Everyone understands pinching pennies and no one's going to begrudge you for that. And if they are, it's a personal thing that they're going through. It has nothing to do with you. So price match until your Walmart stops doing it is my advice. I mean, if you hate doing it and you're willing to spend more money to not have to go through that process, then fine, put that in your budget. I'm not willing to do that yet. I save a ton of money price matching at Walmart and getting the absolute lowest, spending the absolute lowest amount on food that I can. That is one of the ways that I'm able to get out of debt, and I'm not going to let a surly employee stop me. I'm just going to be as nice to them as possible and thank them for their time and say, yeah, please call the manager over. And it's happened before. They'll say, we can't do that. And I'll say, I know you can. I've done that before. They'll say, we'll have to call a manager. Please do. That's the manager's job. That's your job. We're all doing our jobs here. So I don't see a problem with that. If you're particularly non-confrontational and you just want to spend more money, I'm not going to tell you like you have to price match. But if you want to save money, this is one of the ways to do it. I'll also link my stuff down below on how I price match at Walmart to save a ton of money on groceries if you're interested in watching that video. All right. Next question. Have you ever considered working for Dave Ramsey? A little bit. Dave, his company, Ramsey Solutions, has been voted, best place to work in Nashville for like 5-6 years now. I'm sure it would be a fantastic place to work. I'm not sure exactly what I would do there, but I'm sure that I would love it there. Only problem is I'm fairly certain that I wouldn't be able to do this anymore. Because I doubt that Dave would want someone who works for Ramsey Incorporated doing financial advice videos on the internet. So I love this. I love doing this and I love writing and just my life right now. And I don't think I'd be willing to give up YouTube to work for Dave Ramsey. So I will admire him from afar and I will root for him and all of his employees. And I admire what they do greatly. Yeah, I guess the question is, would Dave Ramsey want to work with me? I don't know about that. I would work hard, but I sincerely doubt I could still do this. So, next question is, hey Sarah, thank you for sharing your journey with us. I was wondering how you reconcile your budget. Do you keep all your receipts and document everything to the penny, or do you use money in your cash envelopes until they were all gone? I'm trying to use cash more now, but keeping track of the expenses is becoming a headache. I have done probably every incarnation of cash envelopes versus like receipt reconciling on the planet, and what has ended up working best for me is I use debit, actually not credit, debit for most of my purchases. I keep the receipts and then I reconcile them once a week onto my spreadsheet budget. Years ago, when I started this, I reconciled every day. I reconciled every single time I made a purchase, because if I didn't, I would bust my budget because I wasn't thinking about it. Now, I've been doing this for years. I can reconcile once a month and stay on budget. Not once a month, never once a month, once a week. Usually on Thursdays, I just pull all my receipts out of my wallet, input them in, throw the receipts away, and I'm up to date. You know, check against my bank statement, my online bank statement, and just make sure that every single charge that has gone through or every single debit that's gone through, I should say, is also in my budget and everything is accounted for. And it works out really well for me. I'll actually do a video on that to further explain how I use cash and how I reconcile. So keep an eye out for that. But that's the long and short of it. However, some people use cash envelopes and they love it. The former Mrs. Jones is a huge cash enveloper, and she uses cash for pretty much everything, and it works great for her. I get tired of it. I borrow from other envelopes, and it's hard to keep track of. So I am a debit swiper on most occasions. I do always keep some cash on me, but I reconcile that just by either writing it down immediately as kind of like a self receipt, or doing that. I'll do another video on that. Okay, next up, will the titles of your videos be a plus sign added to your title when you start with the 6 months emergency fund? I've considered this. I thought that would be kind of cool to either do like the positive percentage of how much is in my emergency fund, or maybe my net worth, or maybe like the percentage of my emergency fund that is done. And then I realized how many times I've been asked the question, what does the number in the title of each of your videos mean? And I don't want to do that anymore. I love doing that while I'm currently in debt, but one, I don't want to seem like I'm bragging that I have money, even though I probably will. I'll be talking about what I can do now that I have money in videos, but I don't want that to be the first thing you see when you come across my channel, like a positive $10,000 or something like that. I don't necessarily think that is the best front to put out there, whereas, you know, every single video that you're seeing from me now, you're seeing she's in debt, but she's working on it. And that's a different message than she has money and she's just kind of growing wealth. So what I will probably do is not have the positive amounts in my video titles, but I will probably give updates on my net worth and on my BS3 in either monthly well, they won't be debt reports anymore. Oh, that's exciting. Monthly, we'll have to figure out something else to call them. Monthly money reports, or like quarterly net worth reports, or something like that. I do plan to keep you guys updated as I go through the baby steps. So when as I'm saving up for BS3, as I'm doing other things, but I don't think it's going to be in the title anymore. So that's my thoughts on that. And I just really don't want to answer that question anymore. What's the number in your title mean? And that's wonderful that people ask that too, because that means they're new to my channel and they're interested, but I'm just so sick of answering it. And it's a straight up me in the brain thing. I've considered having it be the first line in my description box of the number in my video title is my current debt. And that's just the first line that you see in every single video. But I realize how sickening that would get to people who have been watching for a while and watch all the time. So that's just a mental brain thing. Alrighty. Do you have to apply for your debt-free scream if you call in instead of going in person? I think so. I think you have to apply either way, but I don't work for Dave Ramsey. That would be a question that you could ask Dave Ramsey on his website. I know that they have a page on their website where you can go to register, I guess, or apply to do your debt-free scream. And I think you have to apply whether you call in or whether you do it in person, because they only do so many of those, and they choose people who that don't use credit and have followed the plan and that kind of thing. But once again, I don't work for Dave. You're going to have to ask them about that. So, alrighty. Next up. I'm trying so hard to make a budget, but I can barely save anything. Is saving very little going to help me get out of debt? My rent is so high, utilities, etc., and I can't seem to save. What do you suggest? And then in a follow-up comment, she mentioned that she was a teacher. And so here's the thing. If after you pay everything, you have $10 a month left to save, you're right. That's not going to get you anywhere fast. It's going to, you won't have your baby emergency fund in place for years. So if you don't have enough right now, you either need to figure out a way to cut back your expenses or to increase your income. You have to follow the written plan. I'm assuming you're following the written plan here, which is every single dollar that's coming in, you're giving it a name, not just you're paying all your bills and you're not seeing anything left in your budget for the month, but you're saying you're trying to make a budget. So you have to actually make a budget. And if at the end of the day, you have so little wiggle room that there's nothing you can do at your current salary with the current bills that you have, then you're going to have to figure out either how to increase your income or decrease your bills, or sell some stuff to make up that extra money. If you're a teacher, perhaps you could do tutoring after school. Perhaps you could pick up some online work, something like that, to increase your income, which you could then save to make your baby emergency fund, and then move on through the baby steps if you have you say you have debt. So you have to save your baby step 1 emergency fund of $1,000 and then put that extra money to debt. You also say your rent is so high, utilities, etc. Perhaps you can look into ways to decrease those, perhaps move somewhere that is less expensive. I know that's easier said than done, but people do it. Sometimes people get into leases that are outside of their price range. They're like, this is a really cool place, and they're thinking with their heart instead of their wallet, and they don't realize they can't afford it. So perhaps you can move down in place. Perhaps you can take some steps to decrease your bills. Look at everything along your budget and figure out what you can cut, and also figure out how you can increase your income to start making ways here. So good luck to you in that. And I'm also going to link my video down below on how to make a beginner budget if you are not actually writing out a zero-based written plan. Make sure you do that. It's the secret to everything. All right, final question. Gotta say again that I love your videos. You're such an inspiration to me to stay on track. I think I asked this before, not sure if it got answered, and really want to know what your opinion is on buying a house versus renting in situations where your rent and living situation, utilities, etc. is very affordable. I'm so torn because looking at the numbers, even if we bought a house outright, one day the utilities, insurance, and maintenance would cost just as much or more than our rent and utilities now. Please put in your opinion. Okay, once again, I have never bought a home, but I've heard every horror story on the planet about people who have purchased housing before they got their financial lives in order. If you purchase a house without any money to be able to deal with anything that's going to come up, because remember, if you're a homeowner and you need a new roof, no one else is going to pay that for you. If the basement floods, no one else is going to pay that for you. You're going to have to come up with that money. If you don't have the money to make all of your bills, you're going to end up losing that house. So I am currently a renter, and I plan to be a renter until 1, I know where I'm going to live for probably 5+ years. 2, I have a healthy down payment. And 3, I have my financial house completely in order. As in, I have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. I will be able to deal with any problems that come up. So, because right now, renting is an excellent situation for me. If something breaks in this house, someone else is responsible for that. I can pick up and go without having to worry about how the state of the housing market is and if I'm going to be able to sell my home. If I were to get a job offer tomorrow, I could pick up and move without having to worry about paying 2 sets of housing bills. I would just make sure that you rent until you are in an ideal position to buy. I just check out my comments on some of my previous videos where I've addressed this. Homeowners giving just horror story after horror story after horror story, being trapped in homes that they couldn't get out of because of this, that, or the other thing, either the housing market or everything broke, even though they had a thorough inspection. It's just nuts. So if right now the cost of buying and having all the utilities and everything is pretty equal to the cost of renting, I would look at your financial situation and see which of those is the most agreeable option. Also, renting is not throwing your money away. You're paying to have a roof over your head, and you're also paying to have options. There's also a missed opportunity cost that comes alongside with purchasing a home and being settled into one place that renters just get to have. You get to have that money where you could invest, or you can just be able to go where you want to. So don't let anyone tell you that renting is throwing your money away. It's just a complete and total urban legend. All right, so that's all the time we have for today. Leave your questions down below, and I will try to get to the rest of these next time, as well as yours. I will see you all soon. Bye.